Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com, and welcome to this week's Q&A. And we are live here on YouTube, so big hello and welcome to everyone joining in live, but also on the pre-recorded, if you're watching it afterwards, and let's say that. Now, quick thing I just want to bring up, I'm a little bit earlier for some of you today because the clock's changed here in the UK. Totally forgot about that, and so I'm technically at the same time. I think just America, I'm probably just an hour. I think I'm an hour earlier. But yeah, so there's been a time change here in the UK. And I think in 2 weeks' time, you guys will catch up with us. And we'll all be on the same time zone. But yeah, so that's kind of, just kind of the way it is with that one. Right. So as per usual, I answer questions from our YouTube channel members and our Patreon. So they've been able to submit those questions in advance. Also, you can join in on the live chat. We've got a few people already in here right now. So you can see here, we've got Matt, Babak, we've got Khalid, Baba Trolling, Keenan, Aaliyah. So big hello. Yeah, so Aaliyah says it's an hour later. So it's still 7. It's just gone 7 o'clock for me. So it's the same time. So I had suddenly woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention it because I'd totally forgotten about it. But yeah. Right, so let's get into it. So right, so we had a couple of questions about this. Actually forgot to write. I need to write an article about this. I'll do that later today. Kaylin asks, the streaming channels from the old ABC app were recently added to the Roku channel, and more distributors are coming soon. Could you see those channels being added to Disney Plus? And Keenan also said those channels have also been added. So this is, in some ways, I think something we might see Disney doing a little bit more often is, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney takes some of these channels, especially those ABC ones that are like news-based and things like that, and actually start just chucking them in on all the different free services that are available in order to just try and get more people watching so they make more money from advertising. I think the idea of them having their own app and all the rest of it is a little bit counterproductive because it goes against Disney Plus. Now, I do think that they do need to add these channels or something like this also into Disney Plus, but I think we're in that weird bit at the minute again. They can't do these kind of things until they fully integrate with Hulu. So I think that's why they haven't done that yet. But I do think these channels will also be added into Disney Plus. And now I wouldn't be at all surprised as well if that they might end up offering this as maybe if you aren't a subscriber, you might still be able to get access to that. That might be a way that they get around it. Or they're going to go the opposite way and go like, look, we're going to be platform agnostic, and we're going to put this out on as many different platforms as we possibly can, be it Samsung, Roku, whichever other, maybe Tubi, just put them out on as many different platforms as possible. So therefore, just more people are watching it, so they make more money from advertising, because the advertising is where they make the money, and they need as big a reach as possible. So that might be, I think that's probably more likely to be the way it goes. Keenan says, honestly, I don't think Disney should have fast channels because they've moved it to the defunct app. That's what their curated playlist for. Kind of, yeah. Bubba Trolling says, I could see Disney adding fast channels to other free services like Tubi. Yeah, that's exactly what I think as well. Just looking here, Caleb says, I like to see Disney add more fast channels since they can make a profit. It would be great to see them if they put them out onto everything. Yeah, so that's cool. Keenan says, maybe I should be named Mr. Headliner. If you're sending good questions, that's kind of it. Knoxway, so it's 10 o'clock for you in the Middle East. Did your clocks change as well? Just let me. I know that it's all over the place when these things happen. Right. Bubba Trolling says, do you think Amazon will exist? I'm wondering if that's exit the digital video rental business. I don't think so. Amazon likes making money. They will make money from whichever thing they can sell. While people are buying digital movies, they will be part of it. I don't see them really kind of coming out, but Amazon Prime Video is a major part of their video platform. It definitely, I think, is a little bit cheeky because I think it's a way that they look like they've got a lot more videos and a lot more stuff than they actually do have. I saw some adverts for Amazon, and they were going like, this movie on Prime and this movie on Prime, and then they snuck in a brand new movie that you've got to buy, and I'm like, that's not really, I thought that was a little bit of false advertising. If you suddenly added in every single movie for sale into your platform, suddenly the amount of movies you've got available technically is much bigger. So I don't tend to like looking at Amazon's like what movies and shows, the lists that kind of you see online of when they aggregate everything together. I don't trust those numbers because I'm sure that they include all of the premium stuff as well. But I don't see them leaving anytime soon. Miles says Pixar's Pete Doctor recently referred to Win or Lose as a major first of its kind tempo series. Given its designation as a tempo series, do you think it will get a prime time release? Obviously, this is like the Agatha Christie kind of, not Agatha Christie, the Agatha All Along, Skeleton Crew. Those ones tend to have that like 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't think with Pixar they will do that. I think I don't think there's going to be that much interest in this series as much, and I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference whether or not it drops at night. I mean, they could drop it a little bit early and do it at the prime time. The other big problem that they have with this is, again, is advertising and getting the message out. The date has already changed once. It's not coming out until February, maybe nearer the time they do this, but I tend to think of it really as kind of like the big pull-in series that will get people in. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think Win or Lose is one of those shows. I think it's going to be a bit like What If, Bad Batch, those kind of shows. They get an audience, but they are not going to be, it's just not big enough, I don't think, to do so. Dana says, have you thought of going to Wrexham and watching a home game and reaching out to Wrexham organisation and while at it get an interview with Humphrey or Sean? To be honest, I did. There was, I did think about it recently. I think it was like last year. The Wrexham were playing my local team, but in all honesty, I don't really like soccer, and yeah, and also as well, it's a little bit weird with the I think with the doing. I did get approached to do a few interviews with the footballers, and I was a bit like, I don't really. It's like I don't really know what I'm talking about, and I wasn't really too sure. So, yeah, it's definitely something I could do, but it's that kind of thing of I think Wrexham as well. They're just growing so big. Kayla reported the ESPN Plus exclusive Monday Night Football game didn't get the viewership numbers it needs. Does this accelerate the process of incorporating ESPN Plus into Disney Plus? I think the big problem is with ESPN Plus is not enough people have got access, not enough people to use it, not enough people have access to it. And I think the trouble is, and I think this is the thing, it's more so in the US. We only have it a little bit here in the UK. It's not quite so bad with the NFL. But trying to work out what channel has what game, what's got it on, can have an impact. But also how many people have access to ESPN Plus. I am sure that when ESPN Flagship launches next year, ESPN Plus will be completely rolled into it. Whether or not they rebrand ESPN Plus, that might I think it's not a bad name, but when you can watch everything from ESPN on there, that'll be much more of a draw. But yeah, I just think ESPN Plus is that weird thing where it's like it isn't really everything from ESPN, but it's all just the leftovers and the bits and pieces that are left over. And probably most people didn't even realize they've got access to it if they do. But yeah, I think they know ESPN Plus isn't really what they want. They know they need to take it, but also they've got to protect their contracts and all the rest of it. It is a little bit weird. Matt also says, what did you think of Daredevil coming out next year? Really looking forward to it. Well, it's kind of weird. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also a little bit like, is it gonna be all right? Is it gonna be okay? With all the creative issues, I in some ways would have maybe preferred them to have kind of gone back to the beginning and like restarted properly, rather than trying to rescue it. But maybe they can rescue it. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of expectations on this series. It's going to have to be very, very good because there's a lot more riding on this Daredevil series than we've seen before. I think with Agatha's kind of come in and like expectations I think were so low for Agatha and like people weren't really interested and they were writing it off and there wasn't, and it's been really weird with Agatha of like everyone's kind of like, oh, this is good. This is really good. Like we're enjoying it, and it's just I wouldn't say there's a buzz around Agatha in the same way that we've seen like with Moon Knight or Hawkeye or anything like that. But what's been really good is it's kind of it hasn't had all the negative stuff that the Acolyte had. Because I do think Agatha's just a lot better show. But it's that kind of weird thing of like, there's people talking about it when the new episodes come out and stuff, but a lot of it is just positive. I think just the positive word of mouth for Agatha is just doing well. So hopefully Daredevil can do the same. Let's jump into the live chat. Let's see what we've got going here. Billy says, at Amazon, here we have to remove movies from Disney Plus available to rent. Could they also add Togo at some point? Yeah, they could add, yeah, definitely think that on there. Knoxwave said, I heard the rumor that Daredevil Born Again might be renewed for season 3 if a success. Well, yeah, I think there's probably much more likelihood of them getting a renewal or some kind of continuation, because I think the Daredevil series and the characters fit what they want to do moving forward with Marvel, especially with the Disney Plus shows, of having a TV show which is connected to the MCU, but it's slightly disconnected in the fact that they can do their own thing. It's more grounded, spend less money on special effects. I think they want to continue that. They know it's a good franchise to keep going. They know people are interested. I do think Daredevil, in some form or another, we will probably be getting multiple seasons of this show or something like it. They might rename it. They might come up with, Daredevil, The Man Without Fear might be like season 3 or something. They might rebrand it, do something with it. But I think Daredevil is one of those characters, and the ones all around it just seems to fit TV. And I think and then it will allow the movies to kind of go off and do their own thing. But yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a case. So Suna says, do you think there will be a Deadpool 4? Yes, definitely. I can't see that not happening. Made too much money. Matt says, I think they should keep 20th Century and Disney Life separate. Yeah, I do. I think that's right. I think they should keep them separate as well. That's a question that comes out of it later on, I think. Babak says, Ryan Reynolds has teased a Deadpool-related project on his Instagram. It looks like it might be a short for Christmas on Disney Plus. What do you think it is? You wouldn't surprise me if, while they were making Deadpool and Wolverine, they did some kind of skit short, maybe like a Christmas rap or some kind of something stupid with all the actors down, and it's just going to be something that'll be like a Disney Plus, like, exclusive thing for Christmas kind of thing, which might indicate that I still think that Deadpool and Wolverine might be the Thanksgiving movie that they might get. That might be the big one, unless they don't want, because I don't know if that will really impact Moana 2. I don't think that will have such an impact. Kelly also said, also an observation I noticed when it comes to Dragon Ball Z Diamond, Crunchyroll gets the newest episode first before Netflix and Disney Plus stream it. Yeah, they probably got a deal in that case that they could do that. That's definitely how I could see it moving forward. Let's see what we've got here. Noxo said, have you had a chance to see Venom The Last Dance? No, I did have a look at the cinema times on Friday morning, but I was a bit like, we went to a comedy club or comedy show on Thursday night with my wife, and then I was playing Warhammer on Friday night, and I was just like, and the reviews were coming in that they weren't, and it was just like, I might just wait for digital. I liked Venom 1. I didn't like Venom 2. I don't know. I like Venom. I really do like Venom, but I'm just not really sold on the fact that I have to go see this at the cinema. I'm just like not really feeling it, to be honest. Babak says, I think Disney Plus should have a few free channels for everyone. Yeah, I think there should be like a layer of free channels and stuff for anyone. Let's see what here. Babak says, in regards to the Deadpool question, it looks like they actually shot something new recently. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just shot it when they were filming it, and they're just posting some of those pictures now. Trying to get them all together and stuff probably isn't really how that would have worked. I think they probably would have already filmed it. Keenan says, so on November the 1st, Christmas curated playlists will launch on at Disney Plus. Any names that will go by? Probably something really naff. Oh, I've just seen. Yeah, so I definitely think it probably like season streamings or something along those lines. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the Bruce career, but or just holiday. I don't know. I don't really think they need to put too much forward into it, but they'll probably just use some of the branding that they've used before, like Hallam Stream. It's something that they've used for a number of years. One man says, do you think Disney should merge 20th Century Studios and Disney Live Action into one studio like they did with their TV studios? No, not in this case, because I think the Disney live action films have a very different tone and output. So if you look at like, say, like Princess Diaries 3 and the what was it, the Freakier Friday, and those kind of movies fit in, they slap the Disney logo on it. It's a family friendly film, and it's kind of not necessarily lower budget, but expectations for those films are that it's just going to be good for the family, easy friendly entertainment. With 20th Century, if you put that on there, suddenly it doesn't have that same impact. Now I do think, like, for example, like Young Woman in the Sea, that could have easily been a 20th Century Studios film. Definitely, I think that could have quite easily have come under that. And I think had it come out under that there, some people might have paid more attention to it, where it not being a Disney film of like expectations, because Disney's done lots of sports films and they really do like doing them as part of their like ethos and all the rest of it. But I do think Young Woman in the Sea probably would have done better had it been put out just as a 20th century. So I do think, like, for some things, like things that are a little bit more serious, a little things that are less like family friendly. I know like Young Woman in the Sea is family friendly, but that kind of, yeah, I think there's almost a thing like if you would take your kids to it kind of thing. Whereas I don't think Young Woman in the Sea was really a film you take kids to, because they'd be bored stiff. I mean, I thought it was a great movie, but I don't think they necessarily should put them together. But at the same time, some movies, maybe it might make more sense for 20th Century to put them out. Ammo says, when do you think Disney will add the ESPN Hub on Disney Plus? Will it be the end of November, early or end of December? So they did say December. My guess will be the first week of December. I mean, we've got a quarterly financials coming up in a couple of weeks. I can't see them. They're not probably going to, and they probably will just do it one day and then launch the campaign. They're probably not going to give us much information in advance. Again, first week of December is probably more likely, because they'll only have, then they've got the second week then to sort out any issues and do some PR and stuff for the first week or two. Because then once we get into the third and fourth week of like December, probably most of them, they're going to want to have this stuff kind of out, done and dusted. Probably the offices are going to start getting ready to shut down. People are doing less work and stuff. They want to get it out and done. The end of December, not a good time to launch a new product right over the between Christmas and New Year. Not a good time. So yeah, that if they'd said like November, then it gives you the whole month. But once you start getting into December, you pretty much only really got those first, I would say, 2 weeks window that you, in those last 2 weeks of December, just not a lot of point in putting out a lot of stuff. Matt also asked, do you think there'll be a Deadpool or Wolverine and Deadpool collection on Disney Plus? Yes, I think they'll add a new one when it comes in, because not only can they put the Deadpool movies in there, like you say, they can also put in the Wolverine ones as well and the X-Men stuff. Miles says, do you think that the Steven Spielberg, Lincoln, and Bridges of Spies could be added to Disney Plus in the UK and Ireland? I'm asking because the films were co-distributed by Disney Touchstone. Yeah, so these ones have got a little bit funny because like 20th Century Studios have got like some distribution. It looks like they've just been licensed out. They could put them onto Disney Plus, but it's almost like, the distribution deal does seem a little bit weird with how that's been done. Maybe they'll sell them back to DreamWorks. I don't know. It does seem a bit odd that we haven't got them yet. Babek says, for some reason, the Predator collection was removed from Disney Plus. It used to be there, and there's still an Aliens one. Any collection? Any reason why? No idea. I did have a look. It's not here in the UK as well. I don't know. Those collections they are so disappointing, because they have done well, bugger all, really, all year. We've seen, because most of the ones that launched in the US have been available internationally for years. The Twilight one and maybe the Poirot one, they have hardly done anything with the collections. They've just, I mean, Disney Plus as a whole right now, it's like we've hardly had any profile pictures added. Inside Out 2 was like the last one, and the one before that was like Wish. We've hardly seen any collections. It does. I don't know if it's just because they got rid of so many staff and they just cut back, or if they're just waiting to bring in ESPN and Hulu, and they've just putting all their efforts into that and just kind of letting Disney Plus roll as it is. But the Disney Plus app at the minute is just nothing. Even the top 10 thing that they tried adding a few weeks ago, that didn't last. That's got removed. Just like, I don't know, just weird. Let's jump in and see. Let's see what we've got here. So other ones. Knoxwave says, I'm happy to see more Disney Plus series getting physical releases. Totally agree. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good for them to come out. These kind of things are for niche niche market collectors. Put it out there, make some money. Why? It's literally, for me, it's like if you're putting them out a year or two after they've been out on Disney Plus, the buzz and the excitement over those series has kind of died down. Yes, Marvel fans might just buy them, might get rid of Disney Plus because they don't want, they don't need it until the next one comes along. Fine, I think the thing is with physical media and stuff. I think is what they're doing is perfect. Steel books, loads of extras, loads of like postcards and stuff in there. Great artwork. Perfect. This is exactly what they should be doing because now it's aimed at collectors. They're not trying to sell the Hawkeye series on a DVD in your local supermarket to try and get people to buy. That market's not there anymore. Now it is the niche collector market. And these new products are exactly for them. And I think this is fantastic. I think it's really good. Keenan says, sometimes there can be negative people saying that the originals are not coming back and they're gone forever. Well, let's take a look at this in a couple of different ways. Being negative online is, there is a lot of sometimes money in it with engagement bait and all the rest of it. The simple thing is with movies and stuff coming back at the originals, the big problem really comes under the legal issue of them being assets of Disney Plus. And if they got wrote down as an asset, there's believed to be like a contract that was made between like the studios and the series and stuff. And so there'll be some contracts in place that will be why they can't bring it back because it's not an asset. Now, whether or not in 5 to 10 years they could be brought back, then that could be something that could be something that they do. That could be very interesting to see what they do in the future with this. But yeah, it's I don't necessarily say it is negative because it's not. I don't think so. Just telling what we know and the information and stuff, just because it's not the news you like to hear or something like that, doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative. That can just be, and I think we have to get, negative news stories and stuff do happen and stuff. Now, I don't think we are going to see those movies coming back for years. I do think the movies have got a much better chance of coming back than the TV series. I think the TV series, I don't think they're coming back. I don't think so. I think the movies got a best one. Keenan says maybe the best way is just to ignore it and not have a backlash over it. If regards to like removals of originals, and that's what I think you're talking about, you're looking at it from the point of view of like collecting or like having the movie available and all the rest of it. And you're looking at it, most of us do, we're looking at it from our own personal thing. And we want that like movie in that collection. So if we want to watch it, it's there. We might not watch it, but we want it there just in case. But you've got to look at it from a business perspective. You look at it from the point of view that you have just spent $40 million creating you've created a brand new original movie, I don't know, Togo or something like that, right? And you needed it to hit this many people to watch it. But if you can write it off as an asset, you might be able to save 10, 15 million. Or you just keep it on there to keep, it's like this whole thing of keeping people happy. these are not the movies that most people will I know when I reported on a lot of these originals that get removed, so many comments were along the lines of, what are any of these? I didn't know any of these existed. These aren't, what is this rubbish? Most of these weren't very good. Those kind of comments. They are getting rid of stuff which people aren't watching. And I think that gets a little bit lost in translation. And that's why when people ask about movies and shows that aren't available on Disney Plus and stuff, and the simple truth is the business side of it doesn't really require it, because there's not going to be enough people to watch it to justify the expense of restoring it, putting it on there, the residuals, the server costs, and I know people don't like to hear it, but that favorite movie or TV show from your past that you love, that you would love to be able to watch an episode or two again, and probably more likely watch 1 or 2 episodes, get your nostalgia fix, then never go back and watch the rest of it. That's what really in reality is what's happening. And yeah, there's a reason why these shows have been lost to history, because most people, they weren't big enough, or they weren't popular enough, or they're too expensive to warrant bringing them back. And I know people don't like hearing that, and I know people would offend Disney and be like, oh, they should put random movie from 1972 that most people didn't even know existed. It would, I totally get it, and I'd love to see it on there. And I definitely, if I was running Disney Plus, I would be definitely making a case of going, look, instead of spending 100+ million on a new TV series, we dedicate time and effort to restoring all of them, getting a movie or a show every single week, and put a whole team behind it just to really just ramp up and do the stuff that Netflix and Amazon can't do. You've got that history, use it. And I do wish Disney did it. I do wish, but I can also see the business side of things where they are looking at it going, people ain't going to watch it. But it is a bit tricky. Let's see what other questions we've got here. I'm just going to do a few more of the pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of it. Matt says, do you think there should be a live streaming channel hub on Disney Plus? Yes, once they've got enough channels to warrant doing it. I don't know if 4 or 6 is enough. I do think maybe when you've got 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus channels that you can flick through, then it needs its own little guide, little area that you can flick through, in the same way, kind of replicating television, so you can flick through the channels. I think it does need that, but again, they're not there yet. They're just not there yet. Babak says, do you think these companion podcasts, for example, there was one for Rivals, make Disney money, or is it just a way to advertise the show? I mean, they might make some money from like podcast advertising, but these things are primarily an advertisement. They will probably go under the marketing and promotion banner rather than be deemed as an asset and content. It is just a marketing ploy, a way of getting people in. I'm not sure why they do it. Just put these people out on other people's podcasts, probably have a much bigger reach. But at the same time, it's marketing, and they sometimes get a little bit carried away with their own thoughts. But yeah, I would say, like, don't bother doing an official companion podcast. Just spend this time and money on more. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a great thing. I also have a problem as well with Disney and other studios trying to do official like podcasts, like trying to do the podcast stuff and the YouTube channels and all the rest of it, but they're trying to do it, but they've got all the costs of trying to run it as a major business without, and they don't have any of the integrity that it's a small channel or a podcast. Or I don't get why Disney, they seem to have pulled back a lot of it now, but there was a time when they were trying to be trying to create YouTube stuff like YouTubers, but with the kind of the infrastructure in place of a major corporation, so they aren't flexible, and it all just seems a bit fluffy. Baba says, what do you think that Disney would name the new streaming service from ESPN? I don't know. I'm still guessing maybe ESPN Plus or ESPN Go or ESPN Now, or I don't know, or just they might even just go with ESPN. You can now watch ESPN on Disney Plus or on linear, and they might just go straight down that and just call it the name. Mara says, what are your thoughts on Sony Pictures Home Entertainment signing an umbrella distribution deal that encompasses Disney and Lionsgate with Warner Brothers and Universal's joint venture? This all comes down to the fact that the home video physical media market has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And what they're doing is now consolidating all of their costs of printing them, manufacturing them, distributing them. Because here's the other thing as well, is you only have to think of how much less are these DVDs now being distributed. When I think back to when I was at college, if I went to the high street, in my local, city, there was a dozen to 2 dozen stores selling DVDs and VHS and all that kind of stuff. All the supermarkets would have them. You everywhere you went would have rows and rows and racks of DVDs. You go places now and you're very hardly find. Some supermarkets might have a bit. If I go into my local city now, I think HMV might be the only one. There might be one shop left in the whole of the city to actually buy your discs from. Therefore, there's a lot less distribution. And the only reason all these shops have disappeared as well, people ain't buying them. So again, it's consolidation, get the costs down, keep it going. A lot of this stuff really is just a case of making them and shipping them to massive, great big warehouses and letting Amazon and Walmart and Best Buys, that you send them to them and then they distribute it off from there. It's just a case of there's a lot less people, buying these products. And I don't think, sometimes I think we're a little bit too close to it. And I think physical media will continue on in movies in the same way that vinyl records have for music. But for these physical media stuff, we're definitely going into an era where they're just not going to be the same. We got 2 pre-more done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. Mamad says, when will Disney or Deadpool and Wolverine and Alien Romulus be added to Disney Plus? My guess would be Thanksgiving time for Deadpool and Wolverine, unless they want to stretch out to Christmas, another few weeks. They could do. Alien Romulus, I just watched this afternoon. I literally just finished watching it about an hour and a half ago. Really good. Really enjoyed that one. I have a feeling that this is just a hunch and just a pure guess. This is just me purely guessing and just pulling something out of a hat here. Whether or not it drops this coming Tuesday or Wednesday for Halloween, and there's a big bump then for the Halloween viewership on Hulu and Disney Plus. That's theory number 1. Theory number 2 is that it comes out in December. So, or that's the Thanksgiving movie, and Deadpool and Wolverine jumps back into Christmas. So I think they're both going to be dropping before the end of the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if Alien does have a surprise release this week. Keenan says, how was last week's game? So last week I went to see the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New England Patriots at Wembley Stadium. It was the very first NFL game that I have seen live. I did see a college football game about 20 years ago at the North Carolina University. Amazed it, loved it, absolutely loved it. And I've been following American football for a long time, but this was the first time I went. Loved it. I loved the game. It was just some really good stuff, especially there was a kickback. They caught it, and then he ran from one end to the other. Literally, the place went crazy. Some things I didn't like. I spent 12 hours driving. There was so much traffic. It was nearly a 6-hour drive each way. It was a long day. It was a very long day. I was a little bit disappointed there wasn't really a halftime show. There was some jag tag kids boot. It was last week you had some, I was expecting a musical act. So I was a little bit disappointed with the halftime stuff. Very expensive when you're in there, but overall loved it. We'll love to go again. Got a little bit more idea of what it's like now. But yeah, no, really enjoyed it. Very expensive day out, but I'm really glad of it. It's kind of I would say going to an NFL game was a little bit like a like almost like a bucket list thing. I wanted to go to at least, I've been to see at least one game, so I was really pleased with that one. Yeah, so there we go. So that is all the pre-done questions. Now let's just jump now into the live chat. Let's see what we've got going on here. Let's see what we've got. I'm just going to go up here a little bit. Babak saw Venom 3, thought it was great. The reviews were off, in my opinion. I think there seems to be a general vibe with Venom 3. It's fun. And if you like the first, or if you like them, you like them. If you don't, you maybe didn't. Streamless might be his prediction. Yeah, that could be it. Matt says, do you think Blade will come out if I think this one's done for a decade, 5 years. I think it's not happening for a while. Bubba Trolley says, what do you think will happen with the sports networks without a streaming service like Fox Sports or CBS Sports? I think we're just going to see sport move to new homes. Life will find a way. I think you're going to have Amazon and Netflix and Apple are all going to start sweeping in and start picking up rights to sports. I think they're going to go after that next. I think we're already seeing them moving into that direction. I think they realize sport is sports and news are two things that they've not really gone into, and it's the only real thing left to go. And I think that's where it's going to go. I think games will probably be. I don't think any one sport or any one platform can really afford to have all of the rights. So I think we're going to see things more splintered out a little bit more. But I think you're just going to get to a point where I wouldn't be surprised if for a few years at least that like maybe CBS and Peacock and Disney have a little bit of a leeway with the fact that they can put their shows out on linear television as well as on streaming. They can kind of hit a bigger audience because that's what these sports want. But Netflix, if they do well, if their viewership goes up because people have got more access to it, I think we're just going to see more and more sports being shared out between Amazon, Netflix, ESPN, and Universal, etc. I think that's what's going to happen. But Fox Sports, I wouldn't be surprised as this stuff. I think that when whatever deal they've got with Hulu for next day stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if Fox's stuff all ends up going to Tubi. Barbara Troller's birthday is next Saturday. Have a good one. Hope you have some good presents. Matt says, why isn't Ernest at Christmas and the rest of the Ernest movies not on Disney Plus? That's a bit weird. A bit weird that they're not there. Do they actually have the rights to them? That's the question. That's always the big thing of, if they do actually Ernest Scared Stupid. Doesn't look like it's on any subscription service. No. Don't know. I mean, maybe Disney doesn't want them on there. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they don't want it on anymore. That might be a situation with that one. Bubba Trolling says, when do you think Paramount Plus will close down? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gone. But I think probably within 6 months to a year after the merger is complete. And how long do you think Paramount will be before they? Yeah. So you've asked very similar. I think they'll be closed down within like 6 months after the deal goes through. Ricardo time. Hi, Roger. The time is changing. Yeah. So we've gone into winter time. So we're on. So we've left summertime. For some reason, some countries, like in America and stuff, will have slightly different dates. Sometimes it's actually really good because, like, for a couple of weeks, suddenly we get everything an hour earlier from the America. So for me, it becomes very useful. There was a little bit of things sometimes when you're trying to organize meetings and stuff where it can get a little bit confusing. Matt says the US has less collections than the UK. When do you think they'll fix that problem? I don't think they're going to fix that problem until a merger is done. I think Disney Plus at the minute is in cruise control until they can get stuff sorted. Keenan says, how many channels do you think Disney Plus should have? I know going to be more in the future. There's no reason they could have 100 channels, 200 channels. At the end of the day, there's just a playlist. I mean, I don't really. I don't really understand the fascination with the channels. To be honest, I don't get why people. I get that kind of thing of, just flicking through and finding stuff. I think for me, the minute of if I'd rather flick onto YouTube, watch a video, or usually if I've just got like 5-10 minutes to click, I'll just watch the news channels. Matt says, how many classes does the US have compared to the UK? What do you mean by classes? I don't quite know what you mean by that. Matt says, how many collections does the UK have compared? I don't know. I don't think there's a lot in it. I don't think there's a lot in it. What we'll just do is I will just bring up Disney Plus. Let's just have a look. Oh no, I've got to log in. Yeah, I won't be doing that for a bit then. It's been a while since I've done that one. Noxo says, since Disney have said that they will release Eyes of Wakanda and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man this year, but they haven't released a trailer, do you think they delayed it? Technically, again, the big problem is the term of an announcement. They haven't actually kind of given us a date, really. There's been no word on these shows for a long time. They've Eyes of Wakanda, I think this term of like delays and stuff, they have delayed everything. I think everything has been delayed, but I don't think they've kind of learned their lesson of not really announcing stuff until they are ready. I think literally now the official page for Spider-Man on Marvel.com literally says the network is Disney Plus. That's it. Doesn't say anything. They announced way too much in the past. They set themselves up, and they've realized, and I think Star Wars have done the same. Don't say anything until you're ready. Just stop announcing stuff just to announce stuff there when they're not ready. And I think this is a problem that they've got into on so many times of announcing shows and films that are not ready to be announced just to make announcements to try and boost up the stock price, to try and boost, if they don't know the date, get it filmed, get it made, then announce it. Then, drop a trailer. If it breaks on, to websites and stuff that the show's being filmed, the trouble is people kind of confuse that with the idea of like, oh, they've announced that we've not really heard anything about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man officially for a long time. There's not we never really had a date. The only time we ever really got a date was from a what was it? It was a trademark, like a copyright thing. Again, Disney has never really said that those shows were exactly coming. Keenan says, I remember Hulu used to be Hulu Plus. I don't know why they would take the Plus out. Was it called Hulu Plus? I don't remember that one. I think, to be honest, I think there's too many pluses. I think they all got a little bit carried away. Bubba's trying to say, I'm getting name called bootlicker by random people online because I like Warner Brothers discovering my questions. How we handle it. So the thing is with like the internet in a general is people are arseholes. Just generally, there are people out there that just get off on being trolls, being mean. They say stuff online that they would never say to your face. But also just trying to get a rise out of you. And I think it's very difficult and I can definitely see how people look at it different. People react. People want to respond. They're angry and they want to get back and they respond. And the worst thing you can do, reply. If they are calling you names, mute them. So or if you're on Twitter or something like that, mute them. They'll never know. They'll just be shouting at you and you'll never see it. I would say I always say don't block them because if you so that way they can't see it. But the thing is with like trolls and anything like that is the more you feed into it, the worse that they get. Now I've had times, I can be furious and angry with, comments and stuff. Sometimes I have responded and I've kind of regretted it. But generally now my general consensus is don't respond. Don't take the bait. Don't bite. Step back. If it's really bad or something like that, then if I can delete it. It's been like in our Facebook group that we've got. If it's really nasty or something like that, or you're insulting me a lot, then I might kick you out. If you're really insulting me, you get some messages and stuff. It's basically on the lines of piss off. I don't have to deal with this. I'm not, I don't have to put up with this. And it's like you. If you are getting a lot of responses, mute them, block them. Don't bother. Now they could say, if it's constructive criticism and just because you don't agree on stuff, I wouldn't necessarily go straight into blocking. More so if it's a personal attack or if it's consistent. That's one thing. But the worst thing you can do for any online troll or anyone that's kind of trying to get a rise out of you is responding. That is your number one go. Stop. Think. Just there's that thing as well. Don't just respond. Stop. Think. Give it a few minutes. Maybe give it an hour. Maybe say, look, I won't actually respond to this until tomorrow. Let me just stew on this. Let me think about it. And it's not easy. Sometimes it really annoys you and it's annoying you for days and you just want to. And I get that. I totally get. I've had that happen to me. And sometimes you're like, yeah. But if you respond and then they come back and then they get under your steer. And if you delete them or block them or whatever it is, and then they start sending you messages and stuff. I've had it happen. I was like, nah, couldn't care less, mate. I'm at that point where I think after doing this, I've been doing what's on Disney Plus like 5 years, but I've done other stuff with Disney and stuff for the last 10 years. I have got to the point now where it's like, I'm just not going to respond. I'm just not going to bother. And I think that's definitely a thing to look forward to. Good thing I don't game. I mean, I never play video games with if I'm playing Fortnite, I have everything muted. Can't be bothered with everyone yapping away. I'm trying to chill out and relax. Niall says, what do you think that the Walt Disney Pictures name should be reintroduced as an opening and billing on the credits and posters? I think as long as it's a Disney film and you get the you get that whole thing coming in at the beginning. I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Doesn't make sense on a 20th century or Searchlight Pictures. I don't think you want really, that logo coming up before you see Poor Things. I think that's a disconnect. I think it just makes sense that if it fits the Disney brand, you put that in front of it. And I think that's the kind of thing. Matt says, will they add Blade and Elektra to Disney Plus? Elektra, I think they've already added it here in the UK. Blade is difficult because they don't actually have the rights to those movies. Those are, I think they are New Line or New Wave or something like that. Matt says, what are you looking forward to on Disney Plus in 2025? Definitely Daredevil Born Again and or season 2. Doctor Who. It'll be good to maybe see what they're doing with Ironheart, because that was years ago, so that we could kind of get that one out there. But I think the thing is at the minute we have seen a drastic reduction in what we're seeing released. So it's kind of when I start preparing the what's coming out next year list, I'll be doing that probably till December maybe. There's a lot less coming than there used to be, and a lot of it is coming through now through the Hulu side, but we are just getting a lot less, and I think we're going to even less in 2025. So we don't really know a lot of what's actually coming. So Sina says, what do you think Disney Plus should improve in 2025? Okay, so a couple of things. So let me know what you would like as well. That'll be a good one. So for me, they've got to get this Hulu thing sorted. They've got to get that over the line, get it purchased, merge the two together, one platform, one system, make it, then they've got it globally, get all of this in one place and stop this just, sort out global releases. They're getting a lot better, but they still need to make a little bit more changes. But again, as they've released less, it makes more sense for them to do what they've been doing. I think for me now, we're going into year 6 of Disney Plus. Those are we're early, we're new. This is still new, but yes, you've had enough. It's over now. That excuse no longer is good enough. Let's just be honest. You can't keep saying, "Oh, they're new." Oh, this is still a new stream. Like, no, it's been around for 5 years now. That excuse is gone. There's been, we need Disney Plus just needs a bit of a refresh. It needs some changes. It needs some fixings that have been broken for a long time. But yeah, I think there's definitely it. Knoxwave, no worries. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Keenan says, merge the apps and less original content made. Yeah, that's definitely what we're going to be seeing. That's definitely what we're going to be seeing is less apps, less apps and less originals. The days of 2021 and 2020, the days where we were getting new originals week in, week out, that's over. We're never going to go back to that. What do you think Hulu, or I think maybe when do you think Hulu? I think it'll probably be next summer. Or maybe I think if it's going to do it, they'll do it before the full season, maybe like August time. Right. On that note, reached the end of the questions. So if you've got any last minute questions, feel free to put them in. Otherwise, there'll be the end of the show. Again, I'll be back next week with another live Q&A. It will be the same time it is today. So if you're in the UK and Europe, or in the UK, it's 7 o'clock. That's the time I normally do it. But I think if you're in North America, it's an hour later, I believe. And that's just until you guys change your clocks. So but like I said, it's one of those situations. I'm on time. This is where it is. And plan is to do it on that one. Keenan says, will ESPN fully merge with Disney Plus? It will be coming into Disney Plus. I don't think ESPN is going to merge. I think it's going to be more likely going to merge in with this new ESPN Flagship. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters.